Hi, my name is Cindy Rang with the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington, and today we are finally at class number 10 of our O Tannenbaum quilt, and we're going to put the whole thing together. Alright, so if this is your first time watching the O Tannenbaum, I'll tell you that what you've missed is the 9 previous classes, but just go back and watch them all. What we did is we started with class number 1, where we talked about the pattern and collecting all of your fabrics. This has been a really fun thing to work on because it really is a beginner series. It's something where we learn how to make 4 patches and 60-degree triangles and half square triangles, snowball blocks, all kinds of stuff. We even did some fusible web. And so we went through 8 different blocks. That's what I have here, all 8 of my blocks. And finally, our last class is putting the whole thing together. So we have a bunch of things that we've cut. So I'm going to just talk about the pattern for 1 second. This was our last class, which was block number 8, which was making all of these little presents. So you should have fused all of those together and cut all of those out, but we don't put them on anything yet because we have to sew everything together, and we put this on afterward, which might seem a little bit weird. So if you turn the page to your pattern, I have all of the cutting arrangements, and so all of the directions, because what happens, and you won't be able to see this up close, but maybe we can zoom in a little bit and you can see that what's happened is there is a little strip right here that connects to this block. There is a strip right here of background that connects to this block, a strip right here, strip right here. And so all of these little pieces, we tell you exactly the size that these blocks should be and exactly the size that these should be. We've also got down at the bottom, we've got some other background strips and your presents. And so what's going to happen is you have to have some place to work, and that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one down, and what I have behind me is my design wall. Let's talk about this for a second. So the design wall, we sell this on our website, and it's called Creative Grid Flannel Design Wall. It is a 54-inch wide flannel that has perfect 2-inch squares. You can just pin it up to your wall if you need to. You can do all kinds of things with it. What we've opted to do with it is put it on a foam core insulation board. We do have a video that shows you exactly how to do that. You need 2 1/8 yards for a 6-foot by 4-foot portable design wall. We'll link that in the description below. But what's really nice about using the foam core board is that it does stick because it's flannel, but if you want to poke a pin into it, you can pin something up, and it's just going to stay exactly where you put it if there's something that's a little bit heavy. So anyway, what we're going to do is I'm going to move my table back, we're going to get set up, and I'm going to show you how to lay everything out, and then we'll come back together and I'll show you some tricks about sewing it together. I'm going to stop for just a second and tell you a couple things that you may have already noticed. So one thing is you can put as much or as little time into the arranging of your tree as you would like. I have to say that I am one of those people that when I take my artificial tree out for the year, I carefully, form every single branch, and I carefully attach every ornament, and I stand back and look at it, and I probably will do the same thing with this. I do think it's important first just to kind of get them up there so you know where your puzzle pieces go. But then I'm going to stand back right about where the camera is and look at it a little bit and turn things and fuss with things a little bit. That's where it's nice to have a design wall or a blank spot in the floor for floor space for you to lay things out and look at it a little bit. It is going to have to stay put together for a while because when it comes time to sew it together, that's what's going to happen. Is I tend to start right in the center. So I've got my little flying geese right here, which I'm going to sew to my square and a square, which I'm going to sew to my flying geese. To my first block, second, third, fourth, I've got 10, a row of 10 here, and then my trunk. I'm going to put that back up here, and then I'm going to do my next row. And then my next row, sew those together. And that's why, if you notice, it almost looks like this background piece is not the right size. Of course, it is the right size because what has to happen is we've got a seam allowance here, here, and here, which is going to shorten all of that an inch, which is about what we've got. So that's why it's important to look at it first, make all of those arrangements that you want to make, and then as you start to sew it together, working from the inside out, all of these seams will be sewn together, which will make the next piece fit, and the next piece, and the next piece. It's also an opportunity for you to change something up if you feel like you want to. I don't feel like I want to. I think everything is good. I like the colors. I like what it's going to look like. I am, for some reason, missing a couple pieces, which sometimes will happen, but I'm missing, I don't know why. I seem to be missing 2 center blocks, which is kind of nice because I can put anything I want in there. But if it's also an opportunity for you to make sure that you like all of those colors. I do like kind of a jumbly, mixed up, lots of texture in my greens and lots of texture in my even in my Christmas balls, but whatever you like. There's no right or wrong to any of this. So what'll happen is in your little diagram, you can just count all of those squares. We don't tell you where to put anything because you can put anything you want. And I think if you remember when we were talking for some of the classes, if there was a block that you really didn't like putting together, put something else in there. It doesn't matter. This is an opportunity for it to be whatever you want it to be on the inside here. What is really critical is the way that I've designed your half square triangles going into your 60-degree triangles, half square triangle into your 60-degree triangle to get this nice fat Douglas fir or whatever this happens to be. So these are kind of critical. The rest of it doesn't matter. I think it's also nice for you to see what it looks like with a dark background versus the light background that we did before, and that's featured on the front of the pattern. So I am going to turn the camera off so you can't see all of my obsessing, and I'm going to obsess with where these are all going to go, and then I'm going to sew the rows together. I think what I might do is I might show you some of the pictures of them sewing as I kind of get them together. And then once I have everything together, and of course the bottom part, all of the patterns, all of the presents that are down at the bottom, that's just part of that row that we're sewing. And that's why all of those have to be sewn together first. And then I will be able to go ahead and take my little cutouts with all of my bows and fuse those to the top so that I can get those down just before it's time to quilt it. One last thing, in case I don't mention this at the end, is that when you get the whole thing together, if you really wish it was a whole lot bigger, there's no borders on this. So I kind of like the idea of it being a a large wall hanging. I like the idea of it being turned into an advent calendar, something that can be displayed in wall space. You could make it a little bit bigger if you want it to be something that's going to be a throw for the couch or even a bed quilt. And you can add borders in any way you'd like. Just make sure that you adjust what your backing fabric is, and your binding, of course, for that matter. All right, I am going to turn the camera off and, like I said, obsess a little bit and have fun putting the whole thing together. I hope you've really enjoyed this little sew along. It's kind of nice because we've learned new things as we go, and then a really fun way to put the whole thing together. So thanks for sewing with us. Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.